Hello friends. So today I'm going to be working on some postcards for a postcard swap that I'm involved in. And so I thought it would be fun to go ahead and just share the process that I usually kind of adhere to when I'm making them. So this is some watercolor paper, it's Strathmore, and it is 140 pounds, which is pretty thick. And I like that thickness because postcards are usually, kind of a cardboard, cardstock. But this is great for mixed media, and it's a perfect weight. So what I'll be using in this project is some things that I get sent in the mail. Lots of people like to send me little bits and pieces of their stash, and I love to use these in my Happy Mail projects. But I have them in these envelopes. As they come in, I'll go ahead and I'll kind of put them into these different categories, and then that way I can build my layers the way I usually do my art journaling pages. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'll start with the first part of the process that I do, and I'll paint the backgrounds. So each one of these pages, what are they? Each of these pages is 9 inches by 12 inches, and I can usually get 4 postcards out of each one. And so, as you can see, 4 times 3, I'm going to have 12, so I'll have a couple left over. So I'm going to get started with painting, and this is going to be kind of long because I do have a lot of processes that I do, but they're really fun. So let's get started. So on this one I did a little bit too much green on it, and I'm not really happy with the big blob of green. I thought I'd go ahead and add a little other colors on top of it. Most of this is going to get covered up. This is just kind of a fun way to make the background. And to use up paint, which I'm pretty sure I have too much of, so. Alright, so they're dry, and the next step I usually do is I try to get some tissue paper on there. And I'd like to try to use the tissue paper that I have from the Happy Mail that I've received, but I'm not sure that's what I'm going to be doing. But some of this is so bright and pretty. I'm thinking I like these birds. For some reason I want to go super bright. In times past I've gone pretty neutral, but I'm really liking these birds. And there's quite a few on there, so I think I'll go ahead and do that. Alright, so the next step to get those on there, to get the tissue on there. I've talked about this in past videos, but it's really worth talking about again. So this is what I use. This is Liquitex matte medium. This is the smoothest matte medium that I've been able to find. It's very fluid, and so it really agrees with painting over this very delicate tissue paper. This is a napkin. So I'm just going to get it on there and then see how it works out. I'm just not sure if I want to cut it down. I think I'll cut it down just to be on the safe side. So the first thing you want to do is you want to get the entire surface wet with the matte medium. Lay the tissue on as best you can. Don't worry too much about wrinkles, they're almost impossible not to get. I probably should have left it a little bit bigger than the piece. I'll do that next time. Okay. Then go back over it gently with a soft brush. This is a very soft brush. I just pick, when I go to the craft store or art supply, I pick the least expensive clearance. As long as it's soft and has a wide bristle, I take it home. I'm not picky about brand, or I'm more interested in saving a little bit of money, to be honest with you. So once it's wet, you have to be super careful about how many times you go back over it with your brush, because it will tear. Hopefully when I cut these into their sizes, the postcard sizes, they'll work out. Okay, so now they're all cut and trimmed. There's a couple of them that I didn't get to the very edge with the tissue paper, so I went ahead and just pieced a couple of pieces on some of them, and I'll go ahead and just trim that off. And just wanted to show you that it's, you know, you can, most of it is going to be underneath a lot of collage, and you're not going to be able to tell all some of the differences in the tissue paper. I thought these would be nice going long ways when I do the embellishing, so it's kind of fun to have some that are different. So the ones with the flowery napkin, I think I'm going to go ahead and do it this kind of portrait style. See how you can see the painting underneath the flowers? That's why I like to do that, because that really just makes it kind of nice. Now that I have 12 postcards, I'm going to go through this, and I'm going to start choosing some 12 pieces of ephemera, you know, the images, maybe some background neutral pieces. I want to stay kind of, I wanted to kind of stay within a gardening kind of theme here, so I'm going to see what I have in here that kind of goes along with that. Okay, so I'm trying to stay on the theme of gardening, and I think I've got a pretty good selection of garden-themed ephemera and paper. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on making my postcards. Okay, so I decided not to use the tissue paper because this one on top of that made it look so muddy. It just kind of took away all the work, you know, the pretty flowers and all that, and then this just covered up too much. So I'm just going to go ahead and go with some doilies to pop some color. These are so colorful, but they're so beautiful, and I think they're a great addition to this. It's a bit much, but I like it. They're pretty. Okay, so now time to put the main images on. And I know this looks like an assembly line, but actually that's exactly what it is. That's how I do these postcards if I'm doing them in mass like this, is I try to get, it just kind of, it's fun to see each one is, they have so many things in common, but each one has their own individual look to them, so. Okay, so they're dry now and they're a little wonky, but what I'll probably end up doing is giving them just a really light spritz of water and putting them between a couple of books, and that kind of usually takes care of that part of it. So far this is, I've got the stamp, I've got the image, I've got some washi, and I kind of felt like they needed a little bit of something extra up in their corners. So these right here, I wanted to try to use these up, because part of this project is to use up fun stuff in an interesting way, artistic way. So I tried to get these on here and I just felt like they were just a way too much. So I'm going to probably go with the gold foil on those particular ones, and I'm going to try to make these work on the other ones. This one, I pulled the stamp away a little bit and tucked that underneath there, hoping that that might give it a little bit of balance of color. So that's what I'm going to start working on now, is just doing the smaller embellishments, and then I'll probably go back over them with pencil, and then they'll be done. Okay, so this is the point where I would usually be doing the pencil around the embellishments and ephemera, but instead I'm going to go ahead and use a medium Sharpie pen. I really like these sometimes. The issue with these is that if I make a mistake, then it's gonna you know, it's permanent. But then again, when I go over it with the varnish, it stays on there really well. I've gone over some of my work that I've had the pencil on there with varnish, and it smears it, and it's kind of an issue, but these usually work pretty well. So what I'm going to do is I'll do a couple of cards, and then I'll sign off and come back on later, because doing 12 cards is going to be pretty time consuming. Well, that was pretty ambitious. I'm not sure if I want to do that with all of them or not, but I kind of like the way that turned out, so I might be doing that just to kind of have fun with it. I'm not very happy about the way this looks, so I'm going to probably just kind of go over everything again with the pen and see if I can clean it up a little bit. Okay, so I went around all of the little bits and pieces with my Sharpie pen, and I'm liking the way it came out. So one of the things that I decided that I wanted to do was to put a little bit of this black and white neutral tape across some of the features, just because I wanted it to kind of pop them and give it a little more interest. So yeah, but this one I didn't do it to, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that right now. And as you can see, I've already rounded the corners. I used just a regular corner punch, an inexpensive one from Hobby Lobby, to do that, and it just makes it a little bit nicer. I just like the way it looks. And then it kind of, for some reason, it lowers the chance of the corner, the artwork, and the tissue paper coming up off of the corners. And now I'm going to go ahead and put a layer of varnish on it to seal everything down. See how that's coming up like that? I'll go ahead and probably put some glue stick on there to make sure it stays down, but once I put the varnish on, all this stuff will stay on here. Some of the tape has a tendency not to want to stay on the matte mediumed tissue paper sometimes, depending on the washi tape, so I've got to fix that. So I've got two different varnishes here. One of them is a satin varnish, and one of them is, this one's the satin, and then this one's the gloss. I just wanted to be able to use these up. I'm not sure which one the manufacturers of them. I think this might be Martha Stewart, and this one is probably Liquitex, but I'm not sure, so I can't really say, but I just need to use some of my supplies up, so I decided to just go ahead and grab that. Sometimes I'll tip it back and forth like this to see if maybe some of the pen smeared, or if I missed a spot with the varnish. Okay, so they're all varnished, and they're going to just sit here for a little while and dry. And as you can see, they've even bent up a little bit more. What I'm going to go ahead and do is, when they're not tacky anymore, meaning when I touch them and feel around on them, that they're not, there's no sticky parts left, because sometimes they can, the varnish can get up inside the, in the doily areas, and just in areas that you wouldn't expect it to be really. I'll wait till all that's as dry as it can be, and then I'll sandwich them between some wax paper and some books, and then they'll straighten right out. They'll be ready for addressing and sending off. And I can see that this little part right here has come up, so I'm just going to grab some more. I'm going to grab a little bit of the varnish and just push it back down again. And even after they've dried, I can go back and do that kind of thing. So that tissue paper, sometimes I just don't get it down just right. So, all right. Well, I'll be back when they're dry and ready to do the next step. Okay, so I've taken them out from underneath the books, and they're well and truly dry. And I have to be honest with you, I'm really proud of the way they came out. I really like the amount of color I used in these. That was just absolutely so much fun. Now the next step, of course, is to get all of my addresses, and then I'll just write a little note on the back and address them off to whoever the recipients are. So just so you know, I really didn't talk about this. This is an iHanna postcard swap. She does this twice a year. It's super fun. You and 10 other people from around the world will swap arted postcards, and it's just a heck of a lot of fun. I've done it every year for the past 6 years, but I did skip last year for some reason. I think I just got a little bit too busy, so hopefully that will never happen again. I'll put the link to her website down below. It may be too late for you to join in this time, but if you get onto her newsletter, onto her email list, she'll send you information when the next one comes up. It's very, very affordable and a lot of fun, so I highly recommend it. Well, I have to apologize for this video being so long, but like I said, there are a lot of steps to this, and there's quite a few postcards here. I'll go ahead and I'll put some pictures of all of them at the end, so you can kind of scan through them and see how they came out. And I really hope you like this video, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more videos like this, please write in the comments the kinds of things that you would like to see, and subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more collage, mixed media, and art journaling videos. Thanks again. Have a great day. Bye-bye.